Hey guys, I wanted to show you this new painter's diary. I have shown the other one that I have in previous videos. You guys know that I really like these. I like the swatching. I like being able to lay out the colors and see them, that kind of thing. So when I was cruising Jerry's Artorama, I noticed that they had a new one, this metallic painter's diary. And it is a little different in that it has a black and a white section so that you can see how your paints play out on each of these. If you look here at the other one, you can see that, yes, it has a line, but it's not a hugely detailed, be able to really see how it's going to play on it. You will also notice that the squares are a lot smaller on the original one. So you're getting less paint space, I guess, on this one. But I thought it was cool. I liked the idea of being able to do that. I don't actually really paint on anything black right now, but I might later after doing some of this. I was curious as if I could find some 300-pound watercolor paper for some bookmarks, because I can see some of these being really neat for bookmarks. But this is my page where I did some of my iridescent stuff on when I did my swatching. So, I mean, it's not bad, but you definitely can't really get a feel for how it might show up on anything else. So when I saw this metallic watercolor diary, I grabbed it. I just really wanted to see how it went. This is set up the same way, where the pages are removable if you want them, and it does have these glassine sheets in between them. I still am not a huge fan of those glassine sheets, but here it is. So let me get to a page I've already done. So I already did most of mine, but I did save us some because I wanted to talk about it a little bit. I feel like these sheets are actually a hair thinner than the other diary, which I'm not a fan of. I don't know. I kind of have some issues with that. I got a lot more buckling, that kind of thing out of them than I did from the other stuff. So I'm kind of disappointed in that. I won't lie. I did find it really interesting on some of these. I don't know if it'll pick up on camera. The difference in the color sometimes. Let me find, I know one that's really good. So like this aquamarine, this is the duochrome aquamarine from Daniel Smith. And the white section, it comes off as pretty green. I mean, it's definitely an aqua color, but when you get it over to the black, it definitely skews a lot more blue. So that was kind of neat. The same kind of with this oceanic, you get a lot more of that gold in there. Whereas this side is still pretty green with a little bit of gold when you move it around. It's just kind of neat to be able to compare them, I think. My dogs are outside barking. So it was just kind of a neat thing to see, like how it shows up different. There's some things that I really expected to show up really well on some of these that kind of really didn't. Oh, where is my... I think it's this one. That they just don't necessarily show up great. And some that actually showed up really well. So on this one, I have the iridescent moonstone. This is the watercolor. This is the gouache. You can see that this comes across as a lot more dark on the gouache than it does in the watercolor version. So it's, yeah, I didn't expect that, and I don't think I'd ever actually laid them side by side because I never really swatched the gouache, just kind of assuming it was the same. Your shell, you can definitely see it pop on this black background, but when you use it over white, it tends to be fairly transparent, and you just sort of see the sparkly in it. This is the beam silver. Like I said, this stuff looks like Quicksilver when you wet it. It's amazing. It's probably my most favorite silver that I have right now. The other thing I have noticed, and this is one of the reasons I wanted to swatch it on camera, is that these black squares do not hold the water the same. So it tends to kind of bead up on it, as you can see, that you don't get on the other side, which is a little frustrating, and I do feel like it added to some granulation on some of these that I might not have gotten otherwise. I don't know. I don't know. It's not a bad thing necessarily. It's just, yeah, it does kind of repel some water. Ooh, got that on there. So, just something to know, I guess. But I did go ahead and pre-wet these beam paints that I wanted to swatch. We're going to start with the fireweed. I'm going to go out and strangle my dogs in a minute. So, and this looks like it's going to be one where the pink's really going to pop on this white hand side. And then it's going to be very gold on this dark side. This is the wild salmon. Probably should have put this in with the oranges. Oh well. So it's definitely a little pinkier on this side. And I think the mica just comes through a little better on that dark side is what happens. So I guess go to the dark side. They have mica. I don't know if it's as good as cookies, but you know. And this is the rose hip. And I know when we swatched this before, it came off really light. And I may not have let it activate long enough. I have mentioned before, but I feel like beam paints need a little longer on their activation time. Not a bad thing, just something to be aware of. That shows up pretty well. Some of these definitely, the beams and the mica shows up a lot of times better after they have dried. I'm happy with how this rose hip showed up though. But on this fireweed, while it's wet, you can see the pink and the dark side, but you're really catching that mica as it dries up. And I feel like it's kind of the same for this wild salmon as well. So that is definitely something to note. If you want to use some of these paints on the black paper, which does produce some pretty cool results. I don't know if maybe gouache is a little better on the black paper. I've only used gouache a little bit. I haven't really played with it a whole lot. I just thought this was kind of cool. This would also be useful if you wanted to see which paints you have that have some opacity to them. And they're maybe not as transparent and you kind of want to see where it is. Like I said, I thought it was a pretty cool idea for the metallic colors to see how they play on each other. But it's, would I buy this again? Maybe. I don't know. Like I said, I'm a little disappointed. The paper is definitely thinner as opposed to this one. Like, this is pretty stiff paper. This is clearly 140 pound paper, and it's very, like, it feels like it. Yeah, 140 pound. Whereas this one, it just does not feel it. And it says it's 140 pound on the cover. I'm not buying that, I'll be honest. It doesn't feel the same. It's definitely not the same kind of paper. So that's something that is a little disappointing. And I don't know, this is why I don't like these glassine sheets, because they get caught up. I don't know if there's really a way around having the dark side not repel water, because this is going to be ink. You know, a printing ink like they did with everything else. So I don't know if there's a way around that to keep it from repelling and beading up the way it did. And it does seem that once you get enough on there and you give it a minute, it does soak in. So there is that. But it is kind of a handy little tool like the other painter's diaries. And it is interesting, and I will continue to put my metallics in here, my iridescents, that kind of thing. I know, I don't want to move that too much because it's still wet. I should have thought about that. Let me find it. see if we can, I'm looking to see if that fireweed's going to run. But when I first got into painting, and I was so excited to go buy my first tubes of paint, and I wasn't 100% like informed on what I was getting. So I bought this interference lilac, and when I got it home, I was like, what the hell is this? This is not lilac, not realizing how they worked. So you can see that those interference colors really show up on that black, and they show up kind of the color that they should be, whereas you only get a little sheen on the lighter hand side. So stuff like that, it's really, really neat to see how they show up. Some things, I feel like this one, you know, the mica shows up really well, and it's a silvery mica, but the color sort of gets lost. And the same on some of them. So that is just for me an interesting look at how they play. You can see, you know, I lifted the page, so we got a lot of water over here. But as this dries, you're really getting the mica on that dark side. Same over here with the wild salmon. Looks like the rose hip is a little easier, but the rose hip has the mica in it is the same color as the paint. So it doesn't pop as much. It's still a really pretty color. I really need to make some flowers out of that, actually, now that I think about it, because it is such a pretty color. But just kind of a neat little thing. You can see I'm getting some buckling here, and I wasn't getting that on the original Painter's Diary. So I don't know what the difference is, because they both say 140 pound paper. They definitely feel completely different. So I would like to see a little better paper on this. But like I said, if you're using a lot of mica paints, or you're using a lot of metallics, stuff like that, or even things, like I said, that have a different opacity and you want to test it, then this is kind of a neat little book. And yes, you could technically do this on your own if you wanted, but I'm too lazy for that. So it is what it is. But anyway, feel free to check it out. The Painter's Diary brand, you can find them on Amazon. I get mine on Jerry's Artorama. They usually have the best price. They just had a sale too, so I didn't realize until just now looking at it that these are from the New York Central Supply Company, paper company. So I actually like their paper, which is, so it's kind of nice to know that they're coming from there. There are a few other brands out there that are set up the same way. I actually did get some, oh, let me see if I can find it. I bought some Light Wish stuff. Okay, yeah, this is swatch. That goes in their little notebook. And I haven't played with it yet to see how I feel about it. But it does have the little swatching spaces on it. The print on it is much, the lines on it are much thinner. So it looks like it does come with the glassine sheets. Like I said, I got it yesterday and I haven't really looked at it to play with it. But you can see, you can get a bunch of different kinds. Maybe I will swatch some stuff on these and let you guys see it for the comparison. But like I said, this is kind of a handy little tool. Yes, you can create it by yourself if you'd like, and by all means, please do if you're into that. No shame from me at all. But I just wanted to show this and see, kind of let you guys see. Like I said, I do really like the original Painter's Diaries. I'm a little iffier on this one, but I do like the fact that you can see how it's going to play out on a dark background. You can see now that this is drying, that rose hip, you can really get that mica and that dark side. So something to check out. I will try to remember to link it below. Like I said, I did get mine on Jerry's Artorama. If they improved the paper like was on the original one, I would 100% buy it again. The fact that the paper is a little thinner and I'm getting a lot more buckling, I don't like that nearly as much. But it is, like I said, I feel like a handy tool to kind of see how your stuff plays out. So if one of you guys grabs this and you play with it and you decide you like it or dislike it, by all means, please let me know. Drop a comment. I'm always curious to see on stuff like this, the things that people like and don't like. Like I said, I'm a huge fan of the Painter's Diaries. So I don't know if any of you out there actually use them, but I love them. So like I said, if you snag one and you have an opinion, I guess, on it, let me know. Anyway, have a good day, and go paint.